Hi, everybody, and welcome again. It's Friday, and it's just a beautiful day. It's certainly been a beautiful day here, and I'd like to welcome everybody because you found your way to the Sacred Wisdom Circle, linked by the golden thread. We are lighthouses, beacons of truth guiding the way. Through deep conversations and shared wisdom, we illuminate the path and heal through truth. So, welcome to another episode of the Sacred Circle. Yay!
Yay.
And we're all here. I was just going to say that all four of us are here today. So that's exciting.
Yay!
It's been a
Yeah.
minute.
It
It
has.
has. Yeah, I missed you guys. I completely even forgot about our gathering last week as I was getting ready for this women's retreat. It was a fabulous retreat and had so much beautiful awakening epiphanies. And I mean, you always come back with that, right? From a retreat, you always come back with something new and special. And yeah, it was crazy getting ready though. And then this weekend, I'm at a women's conference. I'm presenting on Sunday, but I have to go set up tomorrow and it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. So I feel like September was like hit fast forward.
Yep. I hear ya. I've been busy this week too. It's been a little craziness. Did you
That was
host
my,
the re-
yeah.
Sorry?
I was just going to say, did you host the retreat, Janice? Was that one that you hosted or?
I was co-facilitating. So it was another girls' retreat, and I came to do, I did the meditations every morning and did a painting workshop with them. So over the 3 days. So it was wonderful. It was wonderful. A beautiful space up near Jasper. And I do
Wow.
intend to have a retreat there too next September. So it's funny, we were driving in, I didn't think this was the space. I was like, oh, it's really far. For me, it's a 5.5 hour drive. However, my last one was in Northern California. So I drove there. But and it was a really long, windy gravel road to get into the lodge. And I'm like, yeah, no. But then, something turned it around and I was like, oh, this is my space. This is it. It's on sacred land. The owners are just beautiful spiritual stewards of the land. And there were so many little things that happened that was like, oh, we are home. We are home. We are home.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about you guys having a speed dial September and finding beautiful sacred spaces. Mine was August. I'm very grateful that my September has kind of slowed down a little bit, allowing me to catch up to all the stuff that happened in August. So, yeah, it's just a little bit different for everybody, huh?
Absolutely. For me, it was the social and getting out there and life experiences over the summer, July and August. September's been a little bit slower work-wise, but I've been able to connect with my website person for Divine Whispers. And I'm really excited about that and how it's coming along. And now I just have to plug in the information and audio recordings. She's going to help me with doing the visual aspect. She had a brilliant idea that while I'm speaking, the words will be flowing through a picture. So it'll really help with not just auditory, but visual learners as well. So I think that element, some people will not close their eyes and they might just want to follow the words as I'm saying them. So really excited about that. I'm going to be working with a little Sony microphone or recording device and see how that works, because it plugs right in and I can download it right onto my computer. So see if that makes it just that little bit easier to get the audios out there and flowing. So I'm taking a full day, and that's actually one of the things that I'm going to be doing. So I've already booked it off. And so as much as it's slowing down, it's also ramping up. Like I'm really, really excited, and I'm loving the website so far.
Yay! That's so exciting. And it's, when you talk about that, it's a different kind of ramping up. It's not the busy with people. It's a different busy in terms of, it's a being, but it's also a beingness. But it's almost an internal to go external kind of energy that I'm dealing with at the moment. But I can also say, with all these new things that are happening around us, I did my first Circle of Truth on Monday, and I had 10.
Yay! That's
So that
awesome.
was online, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. And yeah, 2 people from the States, and well, there were 10 counting me, and the balance were from South Africa. And what was really what I'm so gratified by, out of the other 9 people, 8 were people that I know, and there was 1 new person that just came off Facebook. And then I've had quite a few inquiries about people who missed it. So that was quite exciting. So, albeit that it's been a much slower month in some senses, or put it this way, it's been a slower week. I've also had some client work that is kind of just keeping everything ticking over, which I'm really grateful for. And I'm just grateful to see how each one of us is experiencing just these incredibly special energies and how they're manifesting in similar yet different ways, which is really, really exciting. Alana, how about you? How is your September? You're saying it's ramping.
It's like, because I go back and I work with youth, so I work with a cadet program in Canada, and so it's our like that starts up in September, and I'm the commanding officer at our unit, so that starts up, as well as this month I launched the expansion circle locally in person. I'm doing some other sessions in person here locally. There's 2 events, spiritual events that I'm one I'm hosting with collaborative with somebody else, and the 1st of October. And then a retreat. We're hosting, myself and another facilitator are hosting a retreat here in Atlantic. So if you're in the New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, we have people coming from Ontario, from the States to come up for this retreat. So that's like the first weekend of
Exciting.
October. Yeah, so super excited for it. It's going to be incredible. And that's our first like official in-person retreat that we're hosting. So all of these in-person things, and it's a little busy. For me. So today was a little bit like, there's a lot going on right now. And a few things I'm trying to collaborate, as well as launch a program in the middle of all that. So I didn't really anticipate that. I'm like, oh, I have one thing to focus on. And then all these other things came in. And I'm like, okay, that's where I'm like feeling the fast forward.
Oh my gosh, right? It's
I'm speaking on the 25th with the Paranormal Society. I'm going to be
yay.
talking about how if you're feeling haunted by spirit, simple tools, techniques that you can use to help with that whole process. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm speaking with the Canadian Hypnosis Conference, but I'm speaking to my modality in Toronto. It's a 2-day event. So yeah,
Amazing.
things are happening
Yes, they are. Oh my
for
gosh.
everyone.
That's
Well,
so
if you're not following us all on social media, make sure you follow, so then you get all the details of all the information of all the things we're offering. So you can have
Absolutely.
further support beyond the circle.
yes. It's so
Yeah,
perfect.
absolutely. So, question for all of us. How did you find the eclipse?
I don't know about anyone else, but I am telling you, on Sunday, I was a wreck.
Mm.
I had news that a girlfriend of mine is moving to PEI from the area,
Ooh, we
from
should
here. So that was, pardon?
send her my way. No, I'm
Oh,
just-
I definitely will. Carm's amazing. So I was really saddened by that news. Then I found out a friend of mine that I have not seen in a long time passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And he helped me to put eavesdrops on my house last year. So even though we didn't have a lot of contact, he was still there and supporting. And so it took me really, really down. And I just couldn't shake it. That's not normally like me. Thank God my partner was like really sweet and like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Naturally, that's kind of 2 heavy blows, you're gonna feel it." I'm like, "Yeah, but this is not didn't even register about the eclipse and the full moon." And it's like when I realized that, oh yeah, all day. Oh my God, I could not stop the tears from flowing. And I'm like, all right, just letting things go the way they need to go. So yeah,
Yeah,
it moved me huge this time.
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So, yeah, so much happening for everyone around us, around me, in the world, like the eruptions. I had, well, being at the retreat, holding space for other people in their transformation. And there was some big detoxing going on. And like we're in the year of the snake, right? So it's transformation or drink the
Mm.
poison, right?
Mhm.
And Tuesday, right? Well,
That's one way of looking at it. Absolutely.
it's true. It's very true because snake has poison and it has shedding of the skin. And so, m- like, I had on Tuesday morning when I got home from the retreat, I had three people texting me all around 8 a.m. in the morning, like before 8:30. And these are people that are not morning people, texting me, telling me about stuff that's going on, disruptive stuff in their lives. You know, my mother fell and she was on the floor for 2 days before we found her. My brother's in the hospital, had an accident. My mother-in-law passed away. Like, just my own bonus mom is in the hospital from a broken hip right now. And my husband had surgery on Tuesday, and like it just is going on and on and on with all these people around me. And I'm just, holding space. So I sat down, kind of like you said, Pam. And when you hear about, what's going on in the world, in the news, and I sat down in meditation and I was like, wow, here I was at this amazing retreat in the mountains. We were meditating together, we were breathing together, we were releasing emotion codes and shedding skin and having beautiful transformations with beautiful awarenesses with nature, with the horses, watching the subtleties, right? So it was just an amazing space. And yet all this was going on around me and still moving through, like it's still happening. um and it just really reminded me in that moment of meditation how we can choose where we want to focus. We
Yeah.
can sit and send love out to all those in need energetically, pour that love out, do the Care Bear stare out to the world. And then remember that even while there's terrible murders and stuff happening, there's people getting married, babies being born that don't even know that it's like 9/11. They didn't know it was 9/11 the day they were born. And, bringing more love and light and people celebrating. And that's still happening too.
Yeah.
And so pouring our attention and focus into that,
Mm.
remembering that, because you can go down that rabbit hole. And so as light workers, holding space for people and reminding them, okay, let's come back to the celebrations too. And you don't have to feel guilty about that. And for us too, like what you were going through, Pam, yesterday, there's times when we need to give space to grieve, to process, to, hold ourselves in
Yeah,
like,
without judgment, right?
Yeah.
Without
yeah,
judgment, just allowing it. And the next day after a good night's sleep, I was much better. Still got bombarded with some more news from other friends, right? One in the hospital, the one just went through a shock treatment on the heart to get the heart regulated. Like, and they're a couple. So it was
yeah,
like very near and dear to me. But again, I was more grounded,
yeah,
because I allowed myself that grieving process, that release or detox. I like that word detox because I don't normally take those kinds of things so heavily. So I don't think it was just mine. If you understand, like usually you can shift,
Yeah.
I can shift through that, put it in check, so to speak, not ignore it, but be able to go, okay, yeah, this is happening, and move forward, like focus on the good things. No amount of focusing on that day was helping me. So I just gave myself the space, and my partner held space for me to be able to do that, which was really, really lovely. there is a lot going on in the world, and you speaking to the murders and stuff, it really, I mean, I had a post that explained a lot of things that I had shared from someone else, but I put in there like some of these things, it's good to be aware, but neutrality is really the place to be.
Yep.
I've learned through my own experiences that, if I'm not feeling accepted somewhere, it's on me. That feeling is on me. It's not on the world around me to change that. It's up to me to change that. So for those of you who might be feeling in that way, really look at maybe how you're not accepting yourself, right? And you're feeding your story and your narrative by being in this place where you're not feeling accepted. And so it was really good to be able, to say love and light to both the victim and the can't remember the word I used, but both sides of the party, because we have to have both. Both of them are playing a part in this world transforming to more peace, love, harmony, and acceptance. We have to have both to play that out. And that's how I truly look at things. But it took me a long time to get there. So I don't want people thinking they need to push themselves. You will get there. When you start to do the questioning, and honor and speak your truth. I think that was the other thing, even posting, I'm speaking my truth. Someone else might not like it. That's okay. But I'm just speaking my truth. And maybe, just maybe it will affect one person, right? It'll resonate for one person. And I think everybody needs to remember that they have something of value that they can bring to the table. And by speaking your truth, you don't know who you're going to impact.
Right.
Yeah, it's so much, and it's so much of that, and also the internal dialogue. I had a really interesting eclipse. It was a very different eclipse for me this time around, and also the new moon. Was it not new moon? Yeah, the new moon. And that was so eclipses bring out for us that which is in the shadow, and that which either it's on a consciousness level, there's the shadow, or it's internally our own shadows. And what came up for me was a whole question around intimacy. Intimacy with myself, intimacy with my higher power, intimacy in not having been in a relationship for, oh my goodness, the last relationship I was in 2010. And kind of just sitting, going, feeling a sense of being deprived, and being deprived of intimacy. And I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. Yes, it's part of it, but it's a lot more around the connection to other people, and to also having, like you have, Pamela and Janice and Alana, having that one special person that is in your life that helps, that really engenders a sense of intimacy and connection. And I was starting to unpack it, and I went through reflecting back on my childhood. And my mom, I think I mentioned it before, but just again, my mom suffered from severe depression, both pre and postnatal depression. I was the eldest out of three. So I experienced her postnatal depression in my own time, and also with my two sisters. And with the severity of her depression and shock treatment and things like that, at a very early formative age, that level of intimacy was missing. And so the deprivation I tapped into the inner child feeling deprived. And my go-to was then to go and have sweet stuff, go and eat sweets, and go and looking for that nourishment out, externally. And so I started to really kind of examine my family of origin. And even with my sisters, there was no intimacy. There was competition, but there wasn't. Did we love each other? Yes. But there was also always this undercurrent of competition and competitiveness. And so that whole the whole environment, and I had a pretty happy home, don't get me wrong. It was just fraught with all these other dimensions that were part of our family dynamic. And the kind of upshot of it is, at the end of the day, as well, as coming back to that intimate connection with myself, and liking who I am, and standing in my truth. As Pam, as you're saying, not everybody's going to like what my truth is, and responsibility to take care of me by being able to voice my truth. And so that connection again with the intimacy with spirit. It doesn't fill the kind of big side of the bed that's empty, and that's not a let's get the violin strings out. I just acknowledge and I recognize that that is something that I'm probably more now ready for in terms of an adult intimate relationship. And I'm talking emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. It's all intimacy is not just about sex. It's about, there are so many other different dimensions to it. And I'm probably more ready that's what came out of the eclipse, that I'm probably more ready for it now than I've ever been in this lifetime. Because at 22, 23, 25, 27, what did I know about that? I knew nothing about that. And then not having the foundation to build off. And it's taken me all this time to come to that beautiful spirally space, not a circular space, spiral of really, really, I'm enjoying me more than I ever have for a very, very, very long time. And so that's what the eclipse brought out for me in terms of the shadow. So it wasn't so much the external shadow of what's going on out in the world, it was more what was happening for me. So that was really, it was interesting, put it that way.
Beautiful.
I second that. It sounds very beautiful and
Oh, there
very
were a
heartwarming.
few little tears that kind of rolled down my cheeks, and kind of also reflecting back on my marriage and how it lacked intimacy. There was no real sense of intimate connection. So there was a little bit of sadness, a little bit of grieving, and then a lot of joy and a lot of connecting with my inner child. And so, yeah, I did a lot of journaling and a lot of writing around it. And it's again, we speak about journaling often, but so many times when we journal out what we're feeling, the truth starts to emerge. And that was my eclipse, which was really different and interesting. So, yeah. Alana, what about your eclipse?
I was just going to say that's powerful too, though, because like in the recognition of all that is that you get to now, like you said, I now know I'm ready. Where before, even other things, or you weren't quite, or whatever, like all the other things that might have been going on in the background, but now there's that knowing. So now you're opening up that space. And even by doing the work that you did, you're opening up space for that to come in. And so for me, it was similar, though. I mean, like you said, yes, there's a partner in my life and whatever, but the intimate conversation with ourselves is ongoing, whether there's somebody there or not. And for me, there was also something that came up around that was very personal. And it was even yesterday, there was still more that was unfolding from it, that I giving myself permission to authentically own my voice. Like I'm showing up online in a totally different energy these last few weeks. And it's kind of come to like me really owning who I am and what that piece of me is and stepping into that. And it feels so freaking powerful, like I've never experienced before. And so I'm super excited for that. There's been connections because of it that are coming through. Like I've had people say, like, somebody messaged me last night even going, your presence lately has been different and I love it. And I love the direction you're going. And it's been a process of giving myself permission to voice all of me and even recognize even in the day-to-day stuff where I still hold myself back and there's still things that I like filter. And it was funny. I was even on a drive home last night. Was it last night? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I literally said that. I was like, I'm done of the filter. Like, why do we still have the filter? Like in what you're sharing and when we're sharing online, when we're posting, when you're creating content, like all of this stuff, like why is there and I'm speaking from, like I said, this is what I've been going through, is this recognition of there's still a filter. And I'm so done with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, have I stepped into this? And I feel like I've done this before. Yes. But I feel like that's like you asked for the eclipse. And that's what I feel like for me. It's been really, truly a letting go and release. But there's been other pieces that I had to recognize in that I'm still saying no to myself for. So I had to have that awareness in order to be like, okay, I'm done with this now. Right. It's that next level of ascension.
And more is being revealed. The more we do the work,
Yeah.
more is being revealed.
Always.
And then, I think one of the biggest gifts that we have when we walk this path is the gift of awareness. And that awareness comes from being present. Because if we're not present, we can't be aware. And so, and also having the courage to do two things: the courage and the compassion for self and then for others. But it's the courage to go in to actually find out what's actually what's allowing itself to birth, either because it's new and exciting and different, or it's something of an old pattern that that's being brought into the light to be released. And it's the other thing that I really felt when I went through my journaling experience this week was just to be in that space of compassion. Because, we say it so often, and sometimes it can be so glib that we all show up with, and I hate saying the best that we know how. I don't believe that that's the true statement. We show up with what we know at any one point in our life. And so the compassion for going back and kind of just looking back, oh, well, and it's not kind of just it's not dismissive. It's wow, look at what you actually did and how much you stood in your truth for what you knew your truth to be. And at the time, so an example of this was that I went through an experience when I was still working in the corporate world where I had been working they were my ex-employer, and I was working for them in not consulting, but a contracted capacity. And I'd done some work and submitted an invoice, and there'd been a change of the guard at in the training department that I'd worked in. And the woman who'd commissioned the work through my ex-boss, who had me do the work, refused to pay my invoice. And we escalated it all the way to the managing director's office, and I then got a lawyer's letter. And I was then told that I was persona non grata. And those I still showed up for me, regardless of what actually happened. Although at the time I was completely gutted, I can now see, looking back, that I was still advocating for myself. Maybe not perfectly, but I was still doing it. And I guess that's also part of the awareness, is that when we look back, there are still those moments. It's like here's the image. It's like we're learning to ride a bike and we've got training wheels on. And then we do some more riding of the bike, and then one of the training wheels comes off, and then the next training wheel comes off, and all of a sudden we're riding the bike. And it's that kind of awareness that, yeah, it might not have been perfect, but I did stand up for me. Pam, when you left your abusive relationship, you advocated for yourself. Me, when I left my husband, who'd been having a long-standing affair for 3.5 years, I still advocated for myself. Imperfectly, doesn't matter. So there are these glimpses when we look back that it's not all the stuff we're stuck in. It's the fact that we actually have showed up for ourselves. And that was another awareness that came out.
Well, and even in what I was sharing as well, very reflective of that is and then I'll stop talking, but the reflection of, I noticed where I was still advocating for others, but not for myself. And that's where it like hit me. I'm like, man, if this, I was sharing and would be an advocate for anyone for this standpoint, but I realized I still wasn't doing it for myself. So anyway, it was a very
And that, I believe, is all part and parcel with our journey for a lot of us, if not all of us, right? It's that whole element of, I often, for myself, it's like I was so invested in taking care of other people that I wasn't invested in myself. I was taking on their journey. And it was actually, when you look at it, telling me I need to focus on me. So if anyone out there is listening, watching, know that, if you're seeing that you're always over invested in other people's stories or problems and you're supporting them, take a step back. And what's it showing you? How do you need to actually support yourself? Because the more that we take on someone else's journey and the more that we are focused on other people, we're actually taking away from us. You're doing wonderful things, but give yourself those wonderful things too, because you'll show up completely differently. Energetically, you will affect the people around you extremely differently, where people will start to actually do for themselves because you will be an example of that.
And sometimes we can use that whole, and it's very typical as well for women, especially. But sometimes we can use that as a distraction because we don't want to look at ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so that's another alarm bell ringing, is how much are you investing in yourself so that you don't spend time with you, and that you don't do the delving in and doing the work that it takes to actually really get to know who we are and have that intimate connection with ourselves. So yeah, it's really interesting. The overserving is such a feminine thing because it's been so ingrained in our consciousness for centuries around being in that overgiving, overserving role. So yeah, really, really interesting. So yeah, it's interesting.
This is like I can't hold back anymore. I'm waiting. This is what's happening. Oh my gosh. We're in between two eclipses, right? We got the new moon and the eclipse, I think the 21st, and the equinox on the 22nd. So what I'm observing exactly, the ones that are struggling big time around me, and I'm not saying all are, but the majority of them are nurturers, caregivers, putting themselves last, and the universe is saying no more.
Yeah.
They are being like their world is getting rocked. They're being laid flat on their back because they have to get to a point where they say, I don't have the capacity to help you right now. I need to take care of me. And that is so, so hard for the nurturers, the ones that are like the grandmothers, the energy of like, let me feed you, let me serve you. How can I help you? Let me put myself out and twist myself in a pretzel so that your life is easier. And so that is a huge transformation coming through right now so, if you're looking around you, people around you, like, they're the ones that need to shed that skin and bring in more self-love. So that's the other thing when you were talking about Angela, the shedding that we're doing, releasing this old layers of energy that's taking up too much space is allowing us to receive the new light codes that are coming through and the veil is so thin right now. What's happening is we're becoming like the awareness is right there for us. Everybody's like, I'm becoming just more aware of this or that, right? So that's because the veil between our physical world and the energy in the world is very thin. So it's like, oh, I didn't notice that before, right? Oh, and those new light codes that are pouring in to us are the ones that are bringing in higher self-love, higher compassion. And what I'm finding too is I am able to hold more for the people around me as I allow myself to shift through this. So observing all these loved ones, like the chaos of the world is seeping into our lives, into our own homes, and we're observing that. And that can be really hard to handle. It's one thing to say, okay, that's going on in the world. I'm going to my little cushion to meditate or out to nature to walk, or for me, like painting, go to the painting canvas and get myself back into my little space. But when it's people around you that you love dearly, their world is getting rocked, it's harder for you to stay centered. So the practices now are so, so important for all of us to be able to hold space for them. And I found that my container has expanded as I receive more higher love, which means I then step away and say, give me a couple hours because I need a nap. And I will get to you instead of, yeah.
So interesting that you're talking about the nurturer. So it's just if you're in the sign of Virgo, it's no surprise that it's all about the nurturing energies that are being brought into consciousness, because that is the energy of Virgo. It's not just the perfectionistic side, it's also the sign of nurturing. So that's really, I mean, it's so interesting because that's the eclipse season is on either side of Virgo coming in, and then the shift into Libra when we get into the equinox. So this whole eclipse season, this particular eclipse, is in the energy of Virgo, which is going to bring out that energy of the overcompensating nurturer.
And I just want to add to that, we speak very strongly about women and the nurturing, but there's a lot of men that I'm seeing that. So for any of the guys out there that are watching this, like, you're going through this too. But those of you that are aware enough to understand that you have that nurturing side, that you are the caregiver, maybe even the people pleaser, right? Your worlds are going to be rocked too to help you to come back to you. So I'm seeing this in my work, that the men are the ones that are a little more balanced in the masculine and the feminine energies, their feminine energies are rocking their world right now. So I just wanted to speak to that and speak to the guys out there and say, like, this isn't just for the women. This is for a whole of humanity. And so just for yourself to maybe take a look at what's really going on for you, because you're growing just like we are. There's a lot of males that are out there that are light workers that may not be even aware of it yet, but it's going to fast forward just like we've been fast forward. So
True enough.
there you go.
And then we also had a 999.
Yes.
Yeah.
September 2025, a 999, which was really also a very interesting day, the 9th of September. And yeah, that's also 9 is the number of completion. And we had a triple code of the 9. So what is it that really, really, really needs completing as we move into the new energies, particularly 2026, because we're moving into a 1 year again, and that's all about new beginnings. So that recurring theme that we've been seeing so much through the year is all about completion. What do we want to bring to closure? What do we want to make sure that we have put to rest, for want of a better word, that we can then actually let go and move on into the new energy and the new cycle that is going to be 2026. So it's all very exciting energies that are around us at the moment. It's very exciting.
Very much so. And
Oh,
the separation of, no, if you see the, like, what are they calling it? Like the separation of the world where two different timelines are kind of emerging. You know, when I was we were my husband and I were driving to his appointment, and we were listening to the news, and they were talking about, the bombing in Gaza, and it was just kind of like, isn't it just so weird that in this day and age that there's still war? Like, doesn't that just totally make you feel like um you're just in another zone? Right?
yeah.
Yeah, and that feeling is getting stronger and stronger, and even um just the having borders, like, driving across borders, and I can understand geographically the purpose, but other than that, it just seems odd. It seems really like, can we move past this? There's something new emerging here, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, and even the attachment to the news and everything around that, right? That there's a lot of us that are like, I don't want to be in that energy. I don't want to buy into that. So we've stopped. There was something I was watching the other day, and it's like when you look at even cable news, like that kind of stuff, there is a clear marker of who does and who doesn't. And it's generational as well as, like, there's some that do and some that don't, and it's literally like you said, that divide of who truly pays attention to the fear and the anxiety and stuff like that, and those of us that have chosen to not pay attention to it. Like, I didn't even know there was a shooting until yesterday. Like, I had no idea.
Same here. Same here.
So, it's like when we're choosing to be part of that timeline or that experience, or again, you get to choose. 'Cause I know, like you said, Janice, it feels like, I'm over here in my own little world of something that's completely different, and it feels different, and it feels surreal to know there's still, like, that's going on. So I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Absolutely agree with you there. I had a conversation with a young man who is dealing with autism. Brilliant young man, and he got talking um, quite openly about how um, different cultures are going into the UK, and they're still trying to live out the way the old culture was, and just having a really open dialogue, and it's it's really very interesting because I don't get caught up, and if I need to hear about it, I will hear about it. I honestly don't go looking for it, but this conversation also helped, listening to another person's perspective, but also talking about how some of these cultures are coming into other countries because it's melting down some of the old constructs that don't work when they come into another culture. And that's the only way it's going to happen, is if you keep a group of people all within that same belief system, and it's not the most positive belief system, what's going to happen is that's going to continue to be very prevalent. But as people are moving out into the world more diverse and exploring other things, it's going to dilute that so that it does start to slowly fade away, is the best way that I can describe it. And having an understanding of that, I don't get caught up in the stories.
Mhm.
Everything is happening for the greater good. There is no doubt in my mind. I have been believing that, living that for a long, long time, as I'm sure all you ladies have been as well. But there's a lot of people who are still really new to it, so they have a hard time with pulling away from
Yeah.
the media and the narratives. And it's normal. It's absolutely normal. But what I love is there are people that are questioning it.
Yeah.
That just shows you the shifts that are happening.
Yeah. It's so interesting, Janice, talking about the two different kind of times, and that it feels like there's a time or, I mean, there was so much truth to the movie The Matrix and the blue pill and the red pill, because that's exactly what we're experiencing in terms of the two different time dimensions. Is that, and it also, what we pay attention to is what we're going to get, is what we're going to manifest in our lives. And so the other element to it of that as well is that the more people are drawn in and the more people are into the narrative, the story, the hysteria that comes off the back of all of that, the more they're feeding it, as
Yes.
opposed to stepping back and altering and shifting where we put our energy and where we put our vibration. And what do we want more of? We want more of the chaos, or do we want to be moving into the living more enlightened and being more illumined in the way in which we engage in the world? And so, it's things like my my daughter. She's crazy over, she really loves all these criminal things and cases and mad things that she watches. And I'm kind of going, why? Why are you doing that? You're feeding it. You're feeding more into. I really like the psyche of understanding how these people think. I said, okay, that's great. But you really are feeding, in my view, I didn't say it again, all that stuff, and the stuff that we're seeing being made in movies is all feeding that narrative, which is, yeah, I choose to step away from it. I don't choose to be a part of it anymore. I really
It's
don't.
feeding it, and in some ways, it's teaching it to those who want to go that route.
Correct. Absolutely. And it's the maintaining that old matrix. That's all it's doing. So, yeah, I know which one I want to be in. I don't want to be in that one. Not a damn. So,
I've
yep.
already
Thank-
been in the highway to heaven, my assignments that I had gone through in my life.
I'll second that.
Well, it's funny, I had the
Oh,
recollection, not that long ago, again, this week, I'm sure, of, even going back to 2020 and what happened in that time frame with COVID and everything else, and the hyper focus because we had nothing else to do but watch the news. And that hyper fixation on what was going on in the world. And I remember, like there was a lot of people that ended up in major depression and major like whatever. And I remember being at this point where it's like, what are we doing? Like, what is going on in this world? But that's the last time I truly remember being that connected to what was going on. Cause that's when my spiritual journey really started, was in that just after that time frame. So it's funny to kind of have that comparison of like, the red pill, the red pill and the blue pill. I'm like, when did I take that? And like the reflection of how connected and attached I was to that, to where I am now, like just even that idea. So, if it feels overwhelming for anybody that's listening, if things in the world are feeling overwhelming, there there is another option. There is another way to look at it. There's another pill here. You can take the red and try the other way. And it's just a matter of understanding our own relationship to the effects of what's going on, how we relate to that, and we get to choose. Like we've talked about, we've disconnected. All of us have disconnected from that attachment to it. Not that we're, like you said earlier, we're not ignoring it. We're paying attention to it. The things that need to come through, but we're choosing to not make it a focus, like was mentioned already, around what do we focus on grows and, all of these different things. But if you're getting caught up in the overwhelm of it, and I know when I think back to that time in 2020, that's where I was getting to myself, was just the overwhelm of all of the things, and you have no control, and well, you do have control. It's what you allow yourself to be exposed to and connect with, and there's another way. So if you're curious about that, like, continue to watch The Circle, continue to connect with us here, and connect with each of us, or reach out and have a conversation because we can help with that.
And that sounds
Beautiful.
like it's pretty much
Yes.
bringing us to the completion of the circle. I think that was so well encapsulated. Yeah, no, it is. And as you say, it always comes down to choice. So choose to walk a path. Choose to walk the sacred path.
Choose wisely.
Choose a way that helps you versus makes you feel otherwise.
Right. What feels good, because truth feels good. And
Absolutely.
that's how you know your truth too, is it feels good. It feels like relief. It feels like, oh,
And it really is unwavering.
And
When
it's
you're
peace.
there, it really is unwavering.
And it's peace and it's joy and it's that beautiful sense of centered. So are we a wrap, ladies? Do you want me to read the
yeah,
Cool.
good.
Thank you everyone for joining us here. As this circle closes for now, the light remains, not just here, but within you. Let these teachings echo through your being like a lighthouse calls over the sea, steady, unwavering, and sovereign. Share what touched your soul. Subscribe if you feel the call. And always remember, you are the light, you are the way, and the circle will be here when you need to return. And blessings in abundance on every level. Namaste.
Namaste,
Beautiful.
everybody.
Beautiful. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.